Nope, I'm not talking. Just waiting. Yes, it is recording, and I can't mute myself because if I do, then it wants to record without the audio, and we need the audio. So if one of you want to just unmute yourself and chat, we can certainly do that. I'm game. Oh, goodness gracious. Oh my God. It never fails. The minute I sit down to do a Zoom, everybody's trying to is just you can't be too obnoxious. What are you talking about, Caroline? You're never obnoxious. Okay, I am going to mute conversations. Mute conversation. Okay, there we go. All right. I'm going to, well, it is 2 minutes to 8 Eastern, 2 minutes to 6 my time. So I am going to just post a quick reminder in the group, and then we can jump into this. Okay. So Stephanie, do you have a critique group already, or are you looking to create a partnership and group?
I have a group of people that I used to work with, but when I had to stop writing due to family stuff, several of them stopped. The main one that I used to trade with doesn't write at all anymore. And the other one we would trade, but because her first language is French, and she prefers like what would you call it, motorcycle club romances and more like that. So she'll read the paranormal stuff, but I think we miss a lot of things. So what I'm looking to do is add on to what I already have, I guess, you know?
Okay. No, that makes perfect sense. I honestly, that's one of the biggest things, is finding that partnership. I'm so lucky that I have my girls, Carolyn and Leanna and Celeste and everybody, because honestly, it's just absolutely fantastic. It's nice when you can get different points of view on your work. Now, yesterday we had our Tuesday night meeting, and we had an author who put up something in the group that I have never read. I'm not a serial reader. I don't usually read those. I'm more of either like a novella or a novel. You know, that's kind of what I'm familiar with. That's what I tend to read. So it was a learning experience, and I hope I did last night's critiques justice. But yeah, it can be a challenge. And I'm hopeful. I'm excited because I think we have such a diverse group that I don't think it's going to be a problem finding a critique partner or partners to work with, and to build that steady relationship. So I don't think that's going to be a problem at all.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of people have been interested after the InkersCon thing, that's the first time I went, and that was that was good. That was worth the time spent for sure.
I agree. Hey Gina, welcome.
Hi, sorry, I'm still trying to get situated. I just got home from work.
No, we're all good. It's all good. I think everybody is kind of in the same boat. We're all just trying to get into our mindset. And this is a pretty relaxed evening. I mean, we're not going to be forming partnerships or anything like that tonight. It would be lovely if we can kind of, come out to see who needs what kind of help. That would be fantastic. But tonight is simply going to be a relaxed meet and greet, see what everybody is writing, genre, what they're looking for, just kind of sort of get to know everybody type thing. So.
Oh, sounds good.
Affairs, the sort of program that will give veterans the funds to get a service dog.
So what do you write, Gina?
So my first book was off market, or not to market. I was just really excited to be writing a book, so I have no idea exactly what it was. It kind of landed somewhere in gritty fantasy with a kind of heavy romance subplot. And I'm taking that out into a trilogy, and then I'm gonna lean more into fantasy romance.
Ooh, that would be fun. The one who would know a little bit more about that would be Carolyn, because that is kind of that's her jam. That's kind of what she likes to read. So she's really good at giving pointers in the fantasy. I'm not.
Okay, and you do romance, right? Like, are you?
I do. Under Patricia Bates, I do dark historical romance and dark romantic suspense with paranormal elements. And under Elise Wells, I do straight up paranormal romance and contemporary erotic romance. And most of what I write in the contemporary is male.
Okay, nice. What does everybody else write? I know I'm a little late to the game, sorry.
No, that's quite all right. We're still waiting for people to come in, so it's all good. I will let Carolyn and Stephanie answer that, and I know Carolyn is eating, but that's okay.
I finished. I write soft sci-fi fantasy, which includes epic, everything in between contemporary. I write paranormal, that includes ghost stories and hauntings and things like that, as well as the shifter romance. And I've written a crime novel and suspense. So I'm kind of all over the map, and I love it. And I love all of the different nuances. There are even different nuances in sweet romance versus adult romance. And Patricia was teaching me before the difference between erotic and erotica, and it's just amazing. There are definitely key differences that are important for lines not to cross when you're going from a sweet versus adult.
Yeah, I'm having trouble even just finding the line, what's, fantasy versus paranormal or fantasy versus alternate history. because I know it's not all about magic. Part of it's about the world. And then, yeah, then you've got the different kinds of romance. Yeah, it's complicated.
And then, of course, you add in tropes, and now you've got genre and tropes markers that you've got to hit to match those readers' expectations, which can be incredibly interesting, as I am learning. Yes, fantasy and paranormal do crossover quite a lot. Something that I recently learned without even realizing it is depending on what you're writing, you can actually have historical and crossing over into both fantasy and paranormal. So, which was a little bit interesting.
I can see that.
Especially if you're like me and you want to get the blood, the guts, and the gore for the battle scenes, and you've got your demons and your vampires beheading each other with some broadswords and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, see, and so like my first trilogy is about gunslingers, female gunslingers. And
Ooh.
so there's action and it rides the line of gore. Like I try and not make it too gory, but still pretty graphic. But then I'm going for, steam with the slow burn romance. And so it's kind of hard trying to find that balance.
So when you say you're trying to avoid the gore, what do you mean? Like when you have a gunfight, there's bullets, there's flying around, and you're not gonna get the bullets. They go through flesh. There's gonna be gore. So
no, and there is. I just try and not go into too much detail about it. I describe it, but I don't know. I try not to make it too descriptive, if that makes any sense.
So are you a deep point of view writer, or are you do you write deep point of view or no?
So my first book only kind of touched on deep POV.
Yeah.
And books 2 and 3, I'm trying to get better at it. We'll put it that way. Because I write third person right now.
Yeah.
And so I just have to remind myself to really get in there.
Oh, I write third point of view, and honestly, I love third point of view, deep point of view. I find that it opens the doors so much, because you can still get into their heads and have your be right in that scene. And yes, I am very bad at trying to give gore where gore doesn't belong. Carolyn, don't leave it in the chat. You gotta tell us. Sorry, I'm trying to get comfortable. I worked today, and it was we're short staffed today, and it was hectic, it was busy. So it was like, oh my God, I just want to, I'm in my chair.
What exactly how are you defining deep point of view?
Okay, so deep point of view is where you are writing the scene as the character, so that as the reader is reading, and this is a very simplistic definition, deep point of view is very, it's its own skill set, but it's basically what you're doing is you're writing the scene from the character's point of view, so that as the reader is reading, they are experiencing that scene as the character. So what the character knows, the reader knows. If the character
is it different?
Yeah.
Is it different than first point of view?
No, you can use deep point of view in each. Can I give you sort of an example? There's
Sure.
telling, where you're told a story.
Right.
There's
That's like third
show and
point.
tell, where you get put in a movie theater in the seat and watch it. Deep point of view, you take the reader out of the theater seat, you put them in the movie as the main character. You give them a visceral, full-on epic experience.
How is that different though than first point of view?
No, first person narrative and third person narrative are how you switch up the pronouns, basically. I,
But first
me
point of view,
versus she,
you're
her.
in, but first point of view, you're in their, you know, you're telling it from their, like exactly how you define deep point of view. That's
Yes,
what
you
I don't
are.
understand. How is that
It's
different?
just a different, it's the narrative is different with the
Yeah.
pronouns. That's pretty much it.
Okay, so but
As first person, you're narrating as the MC. Third person, you're narrating from a different point of view.
Right.
Am I making any sense?
Well, to me, I just don't see the difference between, I've never heard of deep point of view. And
Okay,
I
deep point
don't
of view.
see
Do you use hope,
difference.
like, fear, afraid? Do you use filter words like that?
Say that again,
Emotion
sorry.
words. Do you
Right.
use hate, anger, afraid, terrified? Do you use words like that in your writing?
I do, but not in the, I try to avoid telling. I don't do a lot of telling, and I don't
Okay.
write third person.
Okay.
Those are filter words. Those are telling. Those are very shallow telling. In deep point of view, we don't do that. In the romance writer's phrase book, they call this tagging. It's where you add frame of mind and layer emotion. You learn several more nuances and deep point of view, how to layer those emotions. Instead of saying, I'm angry, say, I clench my hands into fists, my nails biting into my flesh, storm into the room and chuck my purse at his stupid fat head. See, I'm angry versus going into showing the emotion. And then you get your reader all involved. They're like, oh, I'm so pissed at him. And you give a reason why, so that we can connect, not just on that emotional level, but on another intimate level.
the easiest way to explain it, and Carolyn is spot on. I recently took I had the pleasure of taking one of Lisa Hall Wilson's webinars. She had it through a writers group down in the States, and I cannot for the life of me think of what it was called, the writers group. But what she said and the way that she explained it is, regardless of whether you're looking at first person or third person, imagine you're sitting at a kitchen table, and you got the kids at the table. Now, using it's kind of a difficult analogy, but if something happens, those kids are not going to be quiet. You're really going to be in there. And I have read first point of view that is incredibly shallow, that is a lot of tell, because they use those filter words, and there is nothing wrong with using those filter words. We're not saying that there's anything wrong with it. If that's your stylistic way, then that's what you're doing. With deep point of view, again, you are literally putting the reader into the mind frame, the emotional, physical, psychological reactions to your characters in such a way that you are, they're experiencing the story on a deeper level. Deep point of view is one of those things that it literally is. It's a skill that you have to learn, and unfortunately, a lot of people don't realize a lot of the nuances. Carolyn and I had a conversation recently. I had an author or a reader who had gotten back to me, and they had read one of my books, and they were telling me, oh, well, you didn't build up the world this way, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. And what the problem was that the deep point, I write deep point of view, like I am deep point of view. When you read my work, you are the character. You will scream, you will cry, you will want to kill me, but you're the character. And what Caroline had pointed out, and I think, Carolyn, this resonates, and I really think that you should explain a little bit better, because I know you can do it better than I can. But when you are writing in deep point of view, your world building, your settings, all of that is through the character's perception. So, for example, say you're writing a historical, because that's my jam. So we're going to use historical, for example. So you're writing a historical, and you're writing it in deep point of view. If a character's position in society prevents them from having knowledge, whether it's education, whether it's more than one language, maybe they're a servant in a house that they never go to, say London. We'll use England here. So they live in this house. They're a servant to the lord and the lady. That's all they know. They may not know who is in power, who is the political voice. They may not know who the king is. They may not know anything other than what's within their world. When you write in a little bit more of a shallow manner, when you're building your world, you bring in those details to kind of build up that setting, build up that world as well. So that's another difference when it comes to deep point of view. You can have deep point of view in first person, and you can really, it's awesome when you're doing first person, but there's so many nuances and layers. And I know for a fact that Carolyn has taken the masterclass 3 times. So she's my go-to. She is my guru when it comes to deep point of view. And so, yeah, I really do. I really do think that it is something that is, it's worth kind of familiarizing yourself with. It's not, deep point of view isn't dependent upon the narrative of the story. If you're writing first person point of view, that's great. If you're writing third person point of view, it's great. You can do deep point of view with both. It's how in depth you go with the different aspects. For those who are going to be watching this, because this is being recorded, those who are going to be watching this after, Deep Point of View Masterclass is run by Lisa Hall Wilson. She's got a free 5-day Deep Point of View challenge on Facebook. Highly recommend you take it, but it is very, very simplistic. It is a teaser. Once you get into it, you will get hooked. She also has a book out called Method Acting for Writers. And I will try and find a link for it and put it in the description box when this goes up, for those who weren't able to attend the live recording today. So I'm just kind of throwing that out because I see we have comments coming up in the chat, and I will try and save the chat, but it's really difficult to post it on YouTube. I could post it in the group, and I will, but just so we have that in future. BL, do you have a critique partner, critique group at this point? Are you looking to kind of cultivate that relationship, or are you interested in joining one? I feel like I don't know enough about you. I really wish that there was a replay of the one that she just did the other day. I really wish that there had been on Saturday. There was one. I really wish that there was a replay for it because it was phenomenal. It was very basic, but it definitely did go over a lot of the different points for it as well.
I missed it, but since I've taken her masterclass 3 times, once you join her masterclass, you're in for life. You can retake it as many times. And if you're like me, you got to keep going over all of the different aspects and nuances. But the 3-hour just seemed like it, I don't know. I would have liked to have caught it.
It was definitely a really good experience. It refreshed things that I had when I took her 5-day challenge, and then I took her 2-week course as well. I'm waiting for the master class to come back around. It was take her master class or InkersCon, and I took InkersCon instead. which it was fantastic. But yeah, it's definitely well worth it if you are interested. It is a brilliant way to add layers to your work as well, because you're not just focusing on the physical, emotional, but you're also looking at you're really focusing on emotional wounds. I think it actually strengthens your writing to a degree. I really do, because you have to know your characters so well, and it doesn't matter whether that's first person or third person. You have to know those characters inside and out, to really be able to give them justice. Oh, I have this one. I should do that. The deep.
I think that, well, I don't know if it's called Foundations. I haven't, oh, glad you found it. Oh, Patricia, I had an idea.
Yes.
After you know about that top secret project I had to do all that critiquing for, right? So it's helped me with critiquing, and I'm wondering if it's a good idea for people to put together kind of an assessment when critiquing, like with deep point of view. If we put in context, subtext, are the emotions layered, kids at the table, is the author being honest, is the MC being honest, are these emotions coming through? All of those little nuances as an assessment, and kind of throw in what Laura's been teaching us during her workshops, for the broader strokes. Is there emotional growth from beginning to end of the scene? Does it stay in the main character's point of view at all times? Things like that. If that would help, if there was like, if people created assessment sheets so that when they critique, they could just go through them and share them and then point out what they see. Because I notice I miss a lot of stuff in my own work. And then you come in and you catch a lot of things that I missed.
You know what? That is a brilliant idea. That is absolutely brilliant, because I think that would really help. I think it really does help to understand not only the weaknesses that an author has, but their strengths. I know I'm the same. I miss a ton when I am writing my own stuff. I write, and then I do my revisions, and then I give it to the group, and literally it's like, wow, I didn't even think of that. So I think that would be a really good idea. Carolyn, do you feel comfortable maybe putting together something along those lines that we could share with the group, that would be a good something that they could download and have on hand for when they are doing critiques? Would you be comfortable doing that?
Sure. You mind if it's a kind of hybrid from everything I've learned? I'll try and keep it succinct.
Okay. Yep. No, I have no problem with that. So I don't want to monopolize the conversation here by any means. I know Stephanie is looking for critique partners. I know Gina probably is. BL, I'm going to assume that because you're here, you were also looking for partners. So we kind of have an idea of what Stephanie writes. We have an idea of what Gina writes. BL, what do you write? Do you have any preferences for what you read, what you don't read, that sort of thing?
Sorry, I stepped away from my laptop for a second.
Good.
I write, I have a little bit of everything. Mine is all though. It's all LGBT. And I have a lot of paranormal. I have some paranormal fantasy. I have a sci-fi, so a little bit of everything. I do have some contemporary also.
Okay.
I pretty much read anything. I mean, there's some stuff I don't love, but I've edited before, so you have to kind of read everything.
Mhm.
So,
Okay. Do we have in the group, do we, and I was kind of hoping that we would have a few more people, and we may still have some more people coming in. It's still early, but do you have any hard no's? There's certain things that I've flat out refused to read. I will skip a chapter so I don't have to read it. Is there anything that you have a hard nose on?
I don't like psychological horror, anything psychological I don't like.
Okay.
I used to read it. It's just not my thing now. I mean, I could, I could if I need to, but it's not my favorite by any means.
Okay. Okay. That really is helpful. I'm not sure if we have any psychological thrillers or horrors in the group. Romantic suspense, dark romantic suspense. Are you okay with that, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my God. Can I just steal screen share? My husband just messaged me this picture and I have to share. You will get a chuckle. This is one of our fur babies asleep.
So adorable.
That's
all
super
right.
cute.
I'm sorry, I had to hijack for just a moment. He's Great Pyrenees Black Lab Cross. I mean, he's a giant, right? He's not small, and he's sleeping on the window. Yes. Okay, so Gina, do you have any hard no's?
Not that I can think of. The only thing that I really kind of struggle with is abuse in like what's supposed to be a relationship. So I know dark fantasy kind of delves into that sometimes, but
Yeah.
I can handle some darkness. But I started to read one book where the male main character in the course of 4 chapters punched the female main character like 3 times and knocked her out, and I'm like, I can't read that. That's just so
Yeah.
something like that I struggle with. But I mean, I can handle a lot of darkness, not just straight up abuse though.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I tend to go dark, and when I say dark, I tend to not skimp on the blood and the guts. I'm not particular. I don't do abuse between 2 partners, unless it's a situation where like the relationship is gone and it's kind of, this is the breaking point. But that is definitely a hard no for me as well. Reading, I don't, and I'm not a big fan of that domestic abuse in books. No, that's kind of I totally get that one.
Yeah, and I can handle violence, and I mean, if we're talking fist fights and shootouts and people dying, horrible deaths, I'm good with that. It's just when it's domestic in a relationship, I just, for some reason, I can't deal with that.
Yes, I agree. Now, I'm not pointing fingers at any book here. I am not going to. I'm just going to say that I do know that there has been, I have read a couple of books where they are quote unquote BDSM books, and I have friends that are in the lifestyle, and I've read the books, and I've said to them, hey, I read this book, and I was, and they're like, no, that is not what BDSM is, and that is not that. No, that is domestic abuse. That's straight up simple. No, that's not what we do. So I think sometimes the lack of knowledge in regards to a particular sexuality or sexual, preference can kind of toe that line. So that's something that I kind of try and watch out for. I hate any of that. It's not something that you want to deal with. So Stephanie, what about you? Any hard no's?
No, I read pretty much everything across the board. I kind of go in, I suppose you'd call it phases. I might go on a fantasy kick for a week or two and then switch over to romance or sci-fi or um, even the things that I struggle with, like, you know, the scariest Stephen King's ones that you don't dare read at night.
Mhm.
Even those I will finish. I will just wait for daytime. I think there's probably only 1 or 2 books in my life where I've read and gotten partway through and said nope, and it wasn't necessarily a content matter. It was gosh, I'm bored. I'm not going to be bored for the next however many hours or days it takes me to finish this. So, but our house is full of stuff from science fiction, fantasy, western, romance, and thriller, and
Okay.
everything. So
Okay. That's good to know. I'm just trying to kind of get a feel here. Carolyn, I know what your hard no's are, but for the sake of conversation, can you let the group know?
You'll have to remind me which ones those are. I'm a hard no on glorified abuse and glorified rape. I read a lot of web comics and stories from other cultures, and I'm especially drawn to Japanese, Korean, Chinese dramedies and their comics. And in there's a lot of rape and a lot of domestic abuse, and it's all glorifying it. I absolutely hate that, but I take what I love, I turn it on its ear, and I write my own Americanized rendition of what I like. Patricia, remind me of my absolute hard nose.
Well, the abuse is definitely a hard no. Anything with kids is another one that
Oh yeah,
yeah,
if you're gonna kill a kid, let me know and let me skip that part, because yeah, no. I will read anything, and as long as I have a warning where things are and that I can skip, that's awesome. But there are things, yeah, exactly. You're right. You're absolutely right.
anything
Anything
that,
that'll make me want to kill other people too. So don't have me read those.
yeah. Doing that. Yes, animal abuse is definitely another one that I don't, yeah, it's a hard no for me as well. Which is really weird because I write historical, I write dark historical, and it's not really even dark historical. It's realistic history romance. I don't sugarcoat it. I don't, I'm not saying, I don't put characters into a position where it's an arranged marriage and they, between the time they leave her castle to get to his castle, they're madly in love. No. That's not going to happen. Sometimes it takes time, right, to
It
build
was
up.
a curse and tea, Patricia. A curse and tea.
I know.
Oh wait, you haven't read that story yet. Never mind.
We will not discuss that because I don't want to give spoilers because we just you need to check it out. Okay, so what is everyone comfortable with in regards to critiques? I know Carolyn and I, if anyone has seen the video that we posted of last week's critique session, that we did on one of my chapters, it's pretty intense, but that's normal for us. That's normal for our group. So what is everyone comfortable with, in regards to critiques? Are you looking for, the brutal honesty? Are you looking for, this is great, you're doing a great job, keep going? Are you looking for shallow? Are you looking for in-depth?
That's not a critique. If all you want is validation, that's not a critique. And I won't give it.
No, no, and that's just it. That's why I'm asking the hard questions, because I don't think that we have anyone in our group that is looking for that. Yes, Gina.
So I want critical feedback.
Yeah.
But I'll be totally honest and say that, just throw like one or nice two comments in there. Don't just tear it apart.
Yep.
That's, but
Yeah,
I,
that's part of critiques. Yeah, because you got to point out the strengths. You got to
Yeah.
point out where they're doing exactly what they need to and reinforce that.
yeah. And that's kind of what I struggle with too, is because I mean, sometimes I can see what I'm doing wrong. But once I see enough of what I'm doing wrong, I start to doubt everything else I'm doing. So, I just need a little feedback on what I'm doing right too.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think, if you, and the vision I have is, the sandwich effect, where it's positive, but you need to fix this, positive. So you have the negative kind of balanced out with positive. And sometimes even the negative feedback isn't necessarily negative. It's a question, well, why did you do this? Why is the character doing this or doing that? It doesn't make sense. You have, body posture here is telling me one thing, but their facial expression is telling me something completely different. So why do we need, we need to kind of have some clarity there. So I think that's a great idea. So one of the things that I was hoping that we could go over today is setting up a Google Drive. And, basically what I will do is I'm going to make it available to the group. So it's only going to be for group members. And it's basically, so if you are comfortable with it, you are, want to throw up a chapter or two in there to have some, to have people go through and read through it and give you some critical feedback, that's great. If anyone is interested in doing the live critiques that we do, like Carolyn and I and Leanna and Celeste and Randy do, that is something that we could potentially do, or have a roundtable once a month that kind of get together and say, we're gonna talk about, we're gonna answer questions about critiques. We're gonna figure out, if someone's got a problem or someone's got, needs clarification. That's kind of what I'm thinking is, would that be something that you guys would find beneficial? Because I want to be able to give everyone the same chance of having the same level of feedback that we're all going to get. So by no means is it going to be, author A puts up 5 chapters, gets all of the, those 5 chapters critiques, but never does a critique. No. It's, if you put one up, you've got to do one. If someone critiques you, you have to reciprocate. And if it's a hard no for you, skip it and move on to the next one, kind of thing. Because I think that might be a good way to look at it. And with the large group that we have, we can always break into smaller groups as well. Yes, Gina, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to ignore anybody. I'm just trying to.
Oh, no, you're good. I was just going to say that sounds good. So I'm unfamiliar with critique groups, so I don't know what kind of finish work you need to have on, what work you submit. But I can just, if we're going to start a group, I would love to just hang out and critique first. So I have kind of an understanding of what I need to be submitting, like what level of writing.
That makes sense. I think that would be great. Yes, Carolyn, I do think that yes, we can do it in a non-disclosure agreement for the group. I don't think we're going to have an issue with anyone in the group. But Carolyn and I recently, last fall, we had a troubling incident. I won't get into details, but it really did kind of shake us up a little bit. So I think that
I'll tell straight up, somebody was stealing from other authors' work. She was taking bits and pieces from other people's chapters and Frankensteining it, and other people screenshot it. They caught her and she got booted from 7 writing groups on Facebook. And if I find out she took any of our work, yeah, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Someone was stealing from other authors, and we have zero tolerance for that. I'm from a sue happy state. If I find out this crap is going on, something's going to go down.
Yeah, exactly what Carolyn said. So I think that the NDA is a good idea. the group is going to, oh, wow. Yeah, yeah, anything, if it were to happen, and I'm not saying that it's going to, but if it were to happen, if we were to have that issue, it would be an immediate kick out of the group, ban, block, and they would be done with the group. There would be no second chances. There would be no, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize. There is a huge difference between having a line from a book stick in your head and using that as an inspiration to taking entire passages. And that was what was happening with this particular author. She was taking whole passages, not just a line here, a line there, but entire passages. So it was very, yeah. So there is no tolerance, absolutely none. That is one of the rules that I will be putting into effect, into place in the group, the Google group, so that everyone knows. Yes, yeah, exactly, Biel. And it's very disheartening, and it's very it's sickening, honestly, because we pour our hearts and our souls into our work, and to have someone stealing it from us, no. So yeah, definitely that is going to be a thing that we are going to definitely do. We're going to do the NDAs, we're going to have that. I did see a level, someone had suggested, I think it was Carolyn, the level of work to be posted for critique should be your third draft, because your first draft is for you. Your second draft is where you're you're building on your foundation, and your third draft is fairly polished. I agree with that. I think third draft is really important to post, because you may get feedback on your first draft that ultimately changes how the book is supposed, your plan of how the book goes. So it's a really good idea to do that. I have no problem with works in progress as long as the chapter is as polished as you can make it when you post it. Does anyone else have an issue with work in progress?
I just going off of that real quick. I have no issues reading work in progress. I'm coaching one of my best friends who's just gotten back into writing, and I absolutely love her. I don't do first drafts well, because if you ask me to critique it and you want an in-depth critique, you will see red almost every single line. More than 60% will probably be highlighted and commented on, from punctuation to syntax to everything. I will mark everything, where you can go deeper, where it's too telling, things that I like, things that I don't like, things that jam. You'll get my reaction as a reader. But the problem with the first draft is usually there are lots of holes. There are lots of structural holes, things that it's really not ready. It's not ready for any eyes. So if all you want is a very light critique, hey, I want to know, is my character believable? Are the emotions strong? Is this scene a good scene? What emotions do you walk away with? If you want those broad strokes, you gotta present something polished enough so that we can focus on the broad strokes. Because if there are too many tiny little things like repeats and echoes and redundancies dumping out, it gets super annoying, and then it's really hard to focus on the broader strokes.
Yes. Also, I'm going to post a cover sheet for everyone to use when they are posting a chapter. Now, the cover sheet is going to be basic. It's basically your title, what chapter number you're on, what level of critique you are looking for. So if you're looking for just a shallow kind of, hey, does this make sense? Then that's what you put that on, a little bit of a synopsis, and then trigger warnings. So if there is sexual violence, if there's blood and guts and gore, if there's, cursing or anything along those lines, which could potentially be something that a critiquer may have a hard no on, that would go on that cover sheet, rather than them start reading it and then have an issue because they've stumbled upon a rape scene and they're a rape survivor, or there's animal abuse or something, I'm using dramatic examples, but this way it just kind of makes sure that the communication is there, so that everyone is all on the same page. Now, how long, because everyone's going to have their own folder. Okay, so one of the rules that we have in our critique group is no chapter can be up for any longer than 2 weeks. I believe it is. Correct me if I'm wrong, Carolyn, but we post the chapter, we critique it, we leave it up for a little bit longer just in case someone had to leave a meeting early or wasn't able to attend. They can go in and have a look. And then it needs to come down within that 2 weeks time frame, so that we're not stumbling over chapters that have already been critiqued. So that is the way that we do it. Now that could potentially work for us, but what kind of a time frame do you guys think would be sufficient? Do you think 2 weeks per chapter is sufficient? Would you like to leave it at 3? I don't want to go any past 4, because I think then there's just too much going on, and you may get you may not have enough of a you may not have a turnaround on it. Like if you're leaving it up for 4 weeks, people may think, oh well, I've still got time, I've got time, and not get to it. So what's the consensus? I know Carolyn is 2 weeks.
I'd like to buy a vowel, please.
Okay. Yes, I'm just going to answer Stephanie's quick question here. So no, your folder is yours to set up how you want to. So if you have your folder, what I would suggest, if you want to leave it in the Google Drive, I would suggest have a folder that is marked for critiques, and I have one, and then have one that is marked already critiqued. So if you want to leave it up there and then move it over after the 2 weeks into that already critiqued folder, you can certainly do that. We take and download it, put it onto our hard drive, or move it into our regular Google Drive and leave it, and that's how we do it. But if you are comfortable, if you're more comfortable having it in the drive, in the shared folder, then that is completely up to you. You are more than welcome to do that. Just make sure you are labeled clearly. Yeah, exactly. And yes, you are going to have even all of everything is going to be in stick it in the corresponding folder, just because we don't want to make sure that there's any issues. It's always a good idea to have a folder that is in your secure drive as well. That way, if you want to pull it from the shared folder and put it into your Google Drive, that's a good idea as well, because then that way, if you're done getting critiques on it, or you don't want any more feedback on it, you can just move it over. No one else is going to see it. And yes, Carolyn, you can now buy a vowel.
It was too quiet. I'm sorry. I told you I was obnoxious tonight.
You're fine. You're fine. And we have Brina joining us here very quickly. Yes, yeah. Perfect. So yes, that is perfect. Good evening, Brina. How are you today? And I'm out of Pepsi. That sucks. Yes, so
I'm okay.
awesome. Good. Brina, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you write, and where you are in your journey, a little bit about you, so we can kind of get to know you, because it is a meet and greet, and any questions you have or anything like that. So.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I write gay erotica, usually BDSM or DS. I'm trying to mosey on over to straight romance. I mean, straight, meaning I write gay stories. I think I'm on my 25th novel. I've been writing since 2014.
Okay. So when you say, so what other than it being gay romance, do you write contemporary? Do you write fantasy, paranormal? Do you write historical?
I write contemporary.
Okay, awesome. And how do you have any experience with critique groups?
Yes.
Awesome. Just so we know, so that we're not blindsiding anyone. So we were just talking a little bit about the folder that we are going to be creating. I have actually created a folder. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the shared folder and make it available for everyone in the group. Now, ultimately, for security purposes, as I'm thinking about this, it may be a good idea to actually get everyone's email so that I can actually email you guys the link to the folder. That way, if something happens, that we do have a security breach or something, God forbid, at least it's not going to be anyone and everyone being able to get in, because that is another thing. That privacy is incredibly important for me. I do not want anyone to feel like they cannot participate. There is no judgment on what you write. Brina, do you have any hard no's? That was one question that I had asked the ladies already. Do you have any hard no's in what you will read or what you won't read?
I don't read things that are gory and full of blood.
Okay. So no darker themed stuff.
And I don't like when they change body parts.
Brains, more brains.
Okay. Good to know. I don't think that that's going to be an issue. So I think for the most part, everyone that has made it this evening writes in yeah, zombies are not my thing either. I think everyone writes in the romance genre. I tend to go for a little bit of the gore, but I mean, I can work around that. I can work around that. Okay, awesome. So just to kind of recap, we've got it. We're going to be setting up the folder. I will post the link into the group, but ultimately, I would love it if everyone could either message me or email me at seriouswritershaven@gmail.com with their email so that I can actually add it in, so that I can change the settings once we are formed. We will be putting up a non-disclosure agreement for everyone who is going to be critiquing to sign, just because, again, privacy and security, we do not want anything being shared outside of the group. So that's, and every chapter that goes up will have a title page that will give title, that will give all of that. Now, I believe it was Carolyn, and forgive me if it isn't Carolyn, but Carolyn, someone had mentioned something about the maximum word count that you could post in one sitting. I know for myself, I tend to write a longer chapter. Carolyn usually is around 2,300 words. So in our group, we usually say no more than 3,000 words, or whatever we can do in an hour, which is around 3,000 words. Does anyone have a problem with posting nothing more than 3,000 words? You can post, if your chapter is 5,000 words, you can post it, but you do have, we were just asking that you mark it at the 3,000 word marker, so that we kind of have an idea. Awesome. BL, 3K work for you?
Sorry, yeah, that's great. That's perfect.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. Brina, are you okay with 3,000 as well?
Yes,
Awesome, perfect. Anyone want a pet? I have 2 of them you can have. You woke up. Awesome. Okay, so I have rattled on enough. Does anyone have any questions that they would like to ask? Yes. Sorry, I just got a message from someone who wants to join in.
So like critique wise, I know some people here have been part of other groups. And I know that there are different critique styles. In one group, Victorine set up a bunch of groups from, she's one of the writing gals, if y'all don't know her, very successful in sweet romance. She set up a bunch of critique groups, and I'm in one of them. And in hers, not in mine, in the one I'm in hers, they read through, they have the author read through what they wrote, and then they have a list of what they need to go over. That, like, they don't do punctuation, they don't do any kind of that stuff, but they just have particular nuances that need to be hit in that specific genre. So I am interested in learning more about how other people critique, what's worked for everybody else. If anyone could share.
Well, I know the way we do our group is very unique. I have been in one group where we would meet. We met once a month in person, and then when we went to digital. And then, so what we would do is we would take a very short segment. We're talking 1,500 words max, and we would read through it. And then as we were reading through it, it was posted in the group so that people could follow along, and we would discuss it as soon as the author had finished. I did find that was was an okay method. The problem that I found was that I didn't always get the same level of feedback that I was actually after. So for example, if I read a passage, it was just, it was really difficult to get answers because you had a very set time. I think we had 25 minutes per person or something like that. There was 9 or 10 people in the group. So rather than have a 6-hour meeting, it was very short. We would just kind of focus on everybody, but in little time frames. So to me, I like the idea of being able to spend an hour per person and go through and ask and that sort of thing. But I have seen it, and it did work well for the group as a whole. It was just I wanted a little bit more feedback and more discussion. Sometimes when I had questions, I didn't always get that. So that's one of those things. I do prefer the way that we do them, honestly. I think it is it's so much easier, and there is 8 of us in our group, and there is six of us. No, 6 of us. Leanna, Brandy, Kristen. 6 of us that meet, and we don't do 6 chapters in. 5 of us that are active, but we don't do 5 chapters in one session. We break it down. So Tuesday we do 2 people, Thursday we do the next 2 people, the following week we do, the next couple of people, the next person, and then we start over. So we're constantly rotating. So no one person is getting all of the focus and feedback. So this is going to be, if you've never had your work critiqued by anyone other than alphas or betas, yeah, this is going to be a learning experience for you, Gina. It will be, but you will find that it is going to be amazing. It's going to take a little bit of getting used to, because you're going to find that you're going to get a lot of feedback, and a lot of it is, you know, you may have conflicting feedback, but that's the beauty of this, is that if we meet once a month or whatever and have a chance to have that discussion, we can always create that conversation. And if something doesn't make sense to you, you can always ask for questions. So yes, via the comments in the track changes is yes, that is the way that most critique groups do it, is via, they post the chapter, they go in, people go in, they read it, and they look it over, and they leave comments. And sometimes you can engage in a conversation and get clarification, but not always. And in my experience, that it does work okay. But if we're gonna, you know, if we want to have that opportunity to get clarification, then then yes, I think we will definitely find a good groove as we go through. And again, you know, if you are looking for someone who is only in your genre, then that is going to be all you have to do, is say, you know, hey, I write in this genre. This is, you know, I'd like feedback from this, you know, from writers in this genre, so that it's not necessarily a broad spectrum of feedback. So I said 8. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, ladies. You know what? I just realized I've had 2 people now that have messaged me and said, we're just getting started, and I started an hour early, and I apologize. I don't know what happened. So sorry.
I thought it was supposed to start an hour ago. I thought I was late.
Oh, okay. How are you doing today, Bobby?
I am good, doing good. I accomplished a major task at work today, and so went out to dinner. So I thought I was going to be late, but now I'm apparently not late.
No, we're all good. I schedule these things for an hour, and they usually go a little. They usually go longer because we get that conversation going. And this is what I love about this group. We get talking, and then we start. You know, we really start developing that flow, and it's amazing. It's amazing. You guys are awesome, and I'm loving the diversity. I'm loving the feedback. I love you guys. You guys are awesome. All right. So Bobby, now I know you've had a little bit of experience with critique groups before, but for those who maybe haven't met you before, did you want to kind of tell us a little bit about what you write, what you're looking for in critique partners, and you know, introduce yourself.
Okay. I live outside of Houston. I write science fiction romance with, I've determined it has a paranormal element to it. I also write erotica in a novella series. I've had critique groups where it was definitely people who were not looking to take their work and get it published. And while that was a great way to start with a critique group, I've left that critique group since because I'm not finding anybody to help me move on. My current critique group is we write in different genres. We meet once a week on Saturday mornings. And one of the things that I had brought to a roundtable during InkersCon was that I felt bad because I feel like there's one woman in there who has already published her books, but she's also a very good editor.
Mhm.
And I felt like I wasn't bringing anything to the table for us. And she and I are friends. And so she told me this is where she pays it forward. She feels like she is with this group and that enough of this group are moving toward have actually publishing. And so
Mhm.
she's paying it forward to help us move on. And she says she does get stuff from us. While I don't believe it's on the level of what she provides to us, but she says she does get something from the group. And that's what I like about it. We get a little bit of everybody coming in.
Mhm.
Two of the new people to the group also write science fiction, but they're guys and they write more true science fiction. So they at least get some of the elements that I'm working with. So they got some of the things that the others, even the women in the group, didn't get. So I'm enjoying that.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm actually hopeful that we will get some men into the group. Well, we've got some men in the group. I'm hoping that we can get some male perspective in our critiques as well. So that is absolutely fantastic. Welcome, Leanna. Thank you so very much for coming in. It's great to see you. So we had we were just kind of talking over things, hard no's. So Bobby, is there anything that you have that is a hard no? I'm going to throw some examples out here. We had talked about things like animal abuse, glorified domestic violence, child abuse, those sorts of things. Is there anything that you are a hard no? I will not read it. I will not critique it. It gives me nightmares, and I'm not going to do it.
I'm not sure I would do anything with animals. I mean, I'm a big time pet person. But I've read some rather strong stuff, and I can usually tell if it's a glorified domestic abuse or if it's truly like a DS situation.
Mhm.
So I don't feel like there's anything that would be a hard no for me, at least not that I've come across so far.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Leanna, welcome. I see you there. I see you lurking.
I'm here.
All right. So we're kind of doing, I'm just sorry, Leanne, I'm just answering your question here. So we're learning how to do the critique group, but we're also looking at forming a critique group in Google folders. So it's kind of going to be, a little bit of both, because we have some novices that haven't dealt with critique groups. We've got some experienced people. And so this is kind of going to be, we're going to learn as we go, and we're going to build on what we know and what we don't know, so to speak. So Leanna, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you write, and yeah, what what you don't like to, your hard nose, that sort of thing.
I will go ahead and apologize for noise in the background. It's almost bedtime. I don't have an office yet. We're doing remodeling. Well, I've only published one short story in the anthology with Carolyn and Patricia. That was a contemporary, but my main focus is sci-fi, fantasy, or paranormal romances. I'm also, Carolyn, Patricia, don't yell at me. I count myself as a beginner writer still. So I'm still learning aspects, like I count myself as a sci-fi reader. Sorry. I count myself as a sci-fi, fantasy, paranormal romance writer, but I've been learning that I write sci-fi. For instance, my current current project, sorry, is sci-fi with romance elements. So my hard nose, I would, sorry, I have kids, so I'm trying to say it in kid appropriate format. Sexual assault or abuse. I can read that, but I have a past with that, so I have to be in the right mindset to read it. And then any I'm not against any couples that isn't male and female, but I'm not familiar with other couples that isn't male and female, if that makes any sense.
No, that makes perfect sense.
But mostly my hard triggers are abuse and assault.
Okay. And that is why we are going to we are going to have our cover sheet. We're going to have cover sheets on all of the critiques, so that we can make sure that we have those trigger warnings, those things up there for those who have a hard no. So we had talked about, and I'm just kind of recapping for those who have joined us, we had kind of talked about putting up the chapters in the Google Drive, leaving them up for 2 weeks for critiques, and then moving them into either into a separate folder within your folder, or moving them directly to your hard drive or your Google folder outside of the shared folder. So this folder is going to be only for the group. In that there will be, I'm going to put in the rules and the NDA for you guys to sign. Okay, Sam, thank you. My dog just stole my other dog's apple. So one of the things that we kind of want to make sure is that everyone's privacy, everyone's security is taken care of. So this is why we're going to do that. For the first little while, first couple of weeks, the folder is going to be strictly going to be shared to the group as anyone with the link until I get everyone's email addresses, and I will be posting that link, and I will also be posting the email to send me your email so I can add you, so that we can actually reset the security features so that it is only for those who are authorized to access it, much like what we are doing with the YouTube channel. Yes, I know you have a lot. Right now, the regular schedule, we have to work out a schedule. We're going to have to work out how we are going to do this, because everyone has lives. Everyone has, we've got work. Some of us have children. Some of us have different time zones that are extremely different. So we want to make sure that everyone has a chance to contribute. And I think if we leave it up for 2 weeks, that gives everyone 2 weeks time to critique. And then we can do a once a month meeting, unless of course people want to meet a little bit more regularly. If you do, then we can kind of try and figure out what to do. You are not going to be required to critique absolutely everybody's. That is not how it's going to work. So if 30 people have stuff up, if you go in and you critique as many as you want, the only rule is that if 5 people critique your work, you need to do 5 critiques of your own, so that you're kind of giving and getting. You can certainly say, I don't want to critique fantasy because I don't know anything about it. I don't critique fantasy. I want to critique contemporary romance, or I only want to critique paranormal romance, or whatever. You can do that. I want to make it so it's as inclusive as possible without making sure without anyone feeling like they can't contribute. I am totally basing this off of the Romantiques critique group. the way that we operate. Yes, I am totally doing. It is a method that has worked for us for 2 years. We are a very diverse group. We have sci-fi, we have fluffy, we have fantasy, we have paranormal, we have dark romance. We have really dark romance. So there are, yeah, it has been, man, it has been 2 years. Yeah, it's been almost 2 years. So we have a wide, very diverse group. So I want to make sure that everyone has a chance to get their work seen, to get feedback, without leaving anyone feeling like they are giving more than what they are getting from the group. Which isn't to say that if you post one chapter and you critique 30 people, the expectation there is come on now, let's be realistic. If you're going to critique everybody's, but the expectation is if we see someone who's critiquing everyone's, then it kind of does make more sense for everyone to critique theirs as well. So I'm just throwing that out there. There is no limit on how many people you critique. There is no limit on any of that. So the only limits are going to be word count, which is 3K, and the amount of time that you leave your chapter up, which is 2 weeks. Those are the only 2 limits that we're going to set. If you do a critique or you get a critique and the person who critiqued it makes you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to them and say, hey, can we chat about this? I'd like to get some feedback from you. I'd like to get some clarification, so that everyone is getting the absolute best feedback that we can, so that there is no way that that one person is carrying more weight than others, in that sense. I'm just trying to think if there was anything else, any other questions that had come up. Yes, if you are not able to meet regularly at this point, until we can kind of get a schedule and figure out how we're going to do it and figure out what the schedule is going to be like, how we're going to bring in the critique aspect, yes, you can, by all means, just leave the comments in the document in Google Drive. That's basically what you're going to do. I would love to be able to set up a monthly meeting, but it may be a little bit, we may have to do it in between roundtables. I'm trying to figure out how we can set it up. Having said that, so for example, and I'm totally going to throw someone under the bus here. I'm just going to close my eyes here and point to a name. Okay, so Stephanie, I'm totally throwing you under the bus here. So for example, Stephanie and I are working together. She's critiquing me, I'm critiquing her. I leave comments on her work. And so she's going through and she's like, wait a minute, I don't understand what you're talking about here. This doesn't make any sense to me. Shoot me a message on Facebook, shoot me a messenger and say, hey, I have some questions about your feedback. Would you be willing to meet with me on Messenger or whatever, and we can do a chat and you can kind of explain it to me a little bit better. That is completely okay. That is, I would totally support that, simply because there are going to be those instances where someone is going to leave feedback and you're going to have questions. Reach out to them, create that conversation, create that dialogue, and that's going to really help you get the most out of that feedback as well. So the comments in the document is going to be the main aspect for now, until we can kind of figure out a game plan, and then we will look at doing a live, well, not necessarily a live critique, but a critique, a get together like this, where if someone has questions, then we can certainly do that. You have way too many critique nights. I shouldn't say that, Carolyn. Tuesdays and Thursdays is the Romantiques group's regular critique meetings, which is usually, I'm not available Tuesdays and Thursday nights. Carolyn is available at this point for Wednesday nights and Sunday afternoons. Wednesday nights, and this is just, I'm throwing this out, and by all means kind of think it over, give me some feedback. I'm kind of thinking Yes, yes, everything is a suggestion. It's not a hard and fast rule. So if you disagree and you've had that discussion, or you don't even have that discussion, you disagree, you can ignore it. But Wednesday nights at this point, unless something changes, is going to be the Serious Writers Havens Roundtable night, unless, of course, something comes up, and you know, like, God forbid, my husband hits the hospital again, or something along those lines, or we're in Regina for tests or something like that, and I can't make it, then of course I may have to ask one of the other ladies to step in and actually be willing to moderate or host. But for right now, at this point, Wednesday nights is going to be our roundtable discussion nights. And what we're going to do exactly what we're doing today, which is get together, chat, create a dialogue, question each other, and that sort of thing. So yes, okay, perfect, Carolyn. So yeah, does anyone have any questions, concerns, thoughts, anything at all? We are an open discussion here. This is, by all means, unmute yourself and speak. I am all ears. Yes, Bobby.
Okay, well, I love that we're doing the Google Docs. That's how my other critique group is. I have it set up as one of those tabs I automatically open when I'm getting ready to work on my work. So, and it works really well.
Okay. Yes, I love it. You can literally take your laptop anywhere and work on it. So that is awesome. I am so glad that you're familiar with it. Is anyone not familiar with Google Docs? Everyone uses it. Everyone's familiar with it. Awesome. That makes me happy. Leanna, I noticed you had unmuted yourself.
That one I meant to raise my hand, not hit the mic button. Sorry.
Okay.
No, Caroline and Patricia, they're already familiar with it. I get nervous doing critiques because before Romantics, I met a lot of critique partners that I critique from the reader's point of view. And a lot of that is because I'm still learning a lot. So if I give bad advice, I'm not meaning to give advice. So if I'm misinformed or something, just let me know. I just want everyone to know that if you see any of my comments and you're like, no, we don't do that. It's just me learning. It's not me tearing up your work or anything like that. That's the only standpoint I know of because I'm still learning.
Sounds fair. I have to say, I don't think that that's going to be an issue. I would like an example of when you've given bad advice, though, at some point, if you wouldn't mind, just because, you know, yeah, no, I haven't seen it, but we'll go with it for now. The biggest thing I'm thinking for this group is I want these to be fun. I want everyone to be able to be comfortable and, you know, have fun with this. We're all on the same road. We're all on the same journey. We are looking at putting our books out there. We're looking at making this a career, making money at it. And I think knowing that is going to really help us build that partnership and build those relationships that are really going to be beneficial. Now, I know tonight was only about critiques, but I want to put this out for everyone. because I think it's really, the writing part of it is amazing. We have a sign up sheet for anyone who's interested in beta reading for others within the group. I will repost the link for that in the group as well, so that anyone who wants to sign up, because there was some problems with when I first posted it with security, the settings went backwards on me, and so I have to reset. I reset it and redid it, so I'll repost that. But if you need someone who is in your genre who is willing to beta, by all means, that is a great way to help. And I think that's another aspect. If you have questions at any time about anything, I mean, for example, say you are writing a romance book that is focuses on an EMT, person. We ask the group, because we may have resources, or we may know someone who we can actually go to and say, hey, could you answer these questions and give us some feedback so that we can pass that along. If anyone is comfortable with it and is not covered by security, if you are comfortable putting up a job description, what you do in your days, then that would be really good, because I may be writing a story about someone who works in a medical lab, and I know nothing about that, so I may have questions, or maybe you're a teacher and I'm writing a story about a teacher, so I want to have I want to get some feedback there. So it's always, if you're comfortable with it, by all means, I will try and create a document, a file to put into the group that's editable, so you can actually go in and put that information in there. Do not feel like you have to. It is not mandatory. I'm just throwing that idea out there, because sometimes we have questions and we just need answers, and what better way to answer them than to ask an author, because God help us if anyone ever in law enforcement looked at our Google searches. So
That's like last week when I was asking about somebody who, a tattoo artist, and you actually answered the question that I needed for my work about having a tattoo marked over.
yes,
It was great.
awesome. Because the goal is ultimately to have a very inclusive, diverse group with lots of information, lots of resources for authors, all of that sort of thing. That would be fantastic. And then that way, it's a one-stop shop for everybody. We can focus on resources. We can focus on, hey, you're working on this. I need help with branding. I need help with marketing. I'm looking at for covers. Who does covers? Would you point me in the direction of who does covers, or who does formatting, or whatever? That's going to be a huge bonus for everybody, because then that way, we've already kind of we're comfortable with each other, and we can build on that as well. So we will, yes, Leanna, thank you. That would be awesome. Leanna is going to create a spreadsheet for us to fill out, which goes over what we write, what we read, etc. And then that way we kind of all know the ins and outs, and then that way, if there's something that we have a specific question, like for example, if I have a question about billionaire romances, I know who to go to. So yes, so that's that. Anyone else have any questions, comments, topics for discussion that we can go over? So hang on a second. Does anyone live in Kansas? Okay. Rena, I am going to I'm writing down your email right now here. So I have it. All right. Okay, so
I do have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I'm currently in the middle of writing book 3 of a series. Now, would I just like use that book for my chapters that I'm gonna send?
You sure can.
Okay, because I'm like in no rush to publish it or anything like that. But it's book 3. And if anyone, would need more information, they could just ask.
That's perfect. That just throw that up on your cover sheet, which will be in the main folder. And just throw that up there so that readers are aware. And yeah, no, that's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. Yeah.
Where's our folders?
The folders are in the Google Drive, which I am going to be setting up this evening. I'm actually setting that up, and then I will be posting those folders, that the shared main folder. I'll be posting it in the group this evening, so that you guys can access it. It is a Google Doc, so you will need a Gmail, but that's where those folders will be.
Another question. I don't know if I'm in the group.
Okay, well, hang on. Let me have a look.
Okay.
No, you are not. Do you go by anything other than Brina Brady? Okay. Okay, I can just. All right. Brina, if you don't mind, can you send me a link to or if someone could actually send me a link. I think you may have invited her, but I don't think she accepted because I don't see her in the group at all. BL, if you could possibly just maybe send her another invite, that would be fantastic. And then that way we can get her into the Facebook group and that sort of thing. And I will add you as well. I will send you an invite here shortly.
Oh, thank you.
You're very welcome. All right. So, all right. Anyone else have anything that they'd like to bring up? Anyone that maybe isn't in the group that needs to be added to the group?
I do have a question
Mm-hmm.
about that Google Drive. I write in MS Word, but I have betas that do things on that Google Drive. Do I have to like somehow upload my file to it, or is there a
You
trick
just-
to it?
You just drag and drop your Word file into the folder.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I don't, but when I critique people for their reading or writing, do I do it in the Google, or can I do it on my tracking in Word?
No, you would do it on
yeah.
the Google.
Yeah, do it. Yeah, do it on the Google. That way there's
Consistency.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. I know I've had betas send me stuff from Google and I had to answer them. I can figure it out. Thank you.
Okay. If anyone is unclear, we can certainly do. I can certainly put up together a little video and actually show you and walk you through the steps for how to use the Google Drive as well, so that there's no confusion at all in regards to being able to use it. So it just makes it a little bit easier, and then that way there is a something that you can use. And then once you're in there and you're familiar with it, it's fairly straightforward. You can do track changes in Google Docs. When you're doing your critiques and leaving your comments, always set it to suggesting. There's a little box up in the upper right hand corner that says editing, viewing, or editing, commenting, or suggesting. Always set it to suggesting, because you don't want to go in and you don't want to make sure when you're going in and you're making changes and comments and stuff, you want to make sure you're not editing their work. You're just leaving comments and suggestions so that they can go through and make those changes as they see fit, because sometimes what winds up happening, you may put something in there and as they go back to it, they realize, oh wait, this isn't my voice, and then they have to kind of squiggle around with a little bit. So just make sure everything is in suggestion mode rather than editing, so that there is no confusion as well. So I'm just scrolling through the chat box to see if there's any questions that were posted in there that I missed. Comments. So would you guys be okay with doing like the critique, for example, we set it up so every third Wednesday of the month is the roundtable where we get together and discuss critiques, answer questions, those sorts of things. Would that be okay with you guys, or I'm just trying to think of scheduling, because I do tend to try and take at least one day where I disconnect from the internet. So if we did like one every third Wednesday or whatever, would that work for everybody? Yes, Bobby.
Oh, I was just saying it works for me.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Okay. Alrighty. I know I keep asking if there's any questions, concerns, comments. Anyone that have anything that they'd like to bring up now?
Can I ask something totally off subject?
Sure.
Has anyone else tried the changing up your keywords and categories?
Yes.
What
Yes.
a huge difference this has made.
Yes.
Like,
Tell
it's
me about it.
amazing.
Yes.
Amazing. That was like the best advice. And the change your cover and tweak your blurb. It blows me away. Blows me away. It took a book of mine that did really bad, that I was seriously like, I'm going to unpublish this and chuck it. And it went to #1 when I did that. So it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's awesome. I changed the key. I did the cover. I did the blurb. I changed my categories, and I also changed my keywords. And I went from 600, like in the 600s for ranking, up into the top 100. So keywords are incredibly important. That's a great topic, actually. Would you guys be interested in doing a roundtable on keywords and categories?
I would love it.
Okay.
And rock it. I'm telling you, if you're going to invest in anything, that's the best investment you can make.
It is.
For $100, you can't beat it.
No.
Hasn't it gone to subscription?
No, it's just a one-time $99.
Yeah.
And it just
It was going to go to
updated.
subscription soon.
It's
one
going
time.
to subscription soon, but it has not yet.
The new update is really good too. I feel like it gives you a lot more information. It's more specific.
Yes.
It's well worth it.
Yeah. They have an update that they are working on, which is going to expand their categories, because, and I just learned this, if you are publishing in multiple platforms through Amazon, for example, and you are you're publishing on, say, Amazon.com and then Amazon.ca, different countries have different categories and different rules. So it's a really good idea to understand, to know which, you know, kind of have a sense of familiarity, because the categories, for example, for one of my books that works in the States does not work in Canada. I don't know why.
The Rocket only, you can only use categories for, sorry, my TV got really loud. You can only use categories for US and UK on Rocket, but you
And
can
Germany.
go, you can still enter it. They told me just US and UK.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And you have to go, because I tried to do CA and I tried to do AU, and they're like, no, but if you just, you can still send them, you know, they'll still take them through Author Central, but you
Yeah.
can't use the ones that are on Rocket.
No, you can't. I'm just thinking here. So I'm just making some notes here for the next roundtable, because I think we need to do one that is on specifically on the keywords categories. Did anyone, I know that there was, I purchased Rocket here a couple of weeks ago. I think I've had it for 3 weeks now. I purchased a week later. I got an email through someone that I had subscribed to. I get his marketing emails, newsletter frequently, and I had gotten with Rocket, there is an add-on that you can get. It's $49 US, and it is basically, it's the university. Basically, it tells you exactly how to use this program. I mean, it is phenomenal. Who here has Rocket and has that? So you've got the university, the Rocket University?
No, I just have the original Rocket.
Okay, and Brina, you have the Rocket? Okay,
Yeah,
I got the add-on. Like I said, I purchased it. I got this email from this gentleman, and it was a very short email, basically. See you later, Leanna. It was a very short email, basically saying that they had a very short period of time, 48 hours, to purchase Rocket through his affiliate link, and you would get the university for free. So I have it. I'm going through it. I am making a ton of notes. I cannot share the university. I will not share it. It's not that I can't, I will not. However, if you guys are okay with reading my chicken scratch and my copious amounts of notes, I have no problem sharing the notes. You guys
Or
interested?
could you just teach us your style and what you know?
I can certainly do that. I can certainly do that. Yeah, no,
yeah,
not at
that
all.
would help.
Hmm?
That would help because we don't have the program.
Okay, I will go through and we'll set it up, and we'll do a round table on Rocket, because it is a game changer. I firmly believe it is. I have seen the results of having this program, so I am totally for this program. I mean, this is amazing, amazing, amazing. I cannot rave about it enough. I think the only one the only other one that I want is Kalytics, and I'm not paying $37 for one genre a month. No, I'm not. It's invaluable, but I just, no, I can't do it just right now. But it does work. It really does work. And I love Rocket. So we'll look at doing a roundtable on Rocket, but we'll also look at one on keywords, categories, and understanding how important they are, how to walk you through how to submit them through Author Central, etc. I did discover, however, with Author Central, I did submit keywords and category, or not keywords, but the categories for change for .ca. And I got an email from Amazon Author Central that said they could not process it because I was going through my Author Central email and not my publisher's email. I have two separate accounts. So I have my publisher's account set up from when I ran my publishing house. And so I just use that because it's already set up. I've got all my tax information in there. I've got everything. I don't want to change it. I don't want to, it's more work than it's worth. And I like to keep my author name separate because then that way I can leave reviews and I don't have to worry about it. They know that I own both, but it just seems to work better for me that way. So that's another thing to be aware of, is if your Author Central email is somehow different from the email of who published the book, they may say, you need to go back and send us these categories through that email. So it's just something to be aware of as well in regards to that. Blurb critiques, yes. Do we want to do the blurb critiques in the critique folders, or do we want to create a thread in the group and ask for feedback in the group, in the Facebook group?
In the group.
In the group? Okay.
I was going to say a thread on the Facebook.
Okay, that's what
Yes.
we will do.
Yes. It's
love that idea.
easier. It's easier because then if the notification pops up on my screen and I'm on Facebook, I'll see it and I learned so much. Can we maybe do a roundtable on blurbs and log lines? I suck at blurbs.
Yes, we certainly can. That's a really good way to I think that's an awesome way to do it. I know we're in various different states of figuring out what our writing and that sort of thing. And it may be a topic that is too far advanced. By all means, you can tell me not to not to distract you with it. But on the topic of writing, I know that there is, and I've talked to a number of authors who are interested in doing, potentially, if their book does well, which they are, because we are going to knock it out of the park here. As a group, we're going to knock it out of the park. There is some discussion of learning how to do adaptations from taking your novel into a screenplay, that sort of thing. Would anyone be interested in doing a roundtable on that at some point in the future? I'm happy to do it. I know how to do it. I have done it before. It's something for you guys to think on. It's not a necessity by any stretch of the imagination, but it is something that if you do want to do at some point in the future, I am more than happy to do a roundtable on, and we can kind of go through it. Let's see, what else is there? Blurbs. We are going to do. So I've got a few ideas as well in regards to different ideas for different roundtables that are coming up, that sort of thing. Some of which we've already kind of spoken about. Hang on a second here. I had a note that I was going to. Well, apparently I don't know where I'll post it in the group. Awesome. Okay, so anyone, and it doesn't, any questions, it does not have to be related to critiques. It can be any topic here. If you've got a question, a suggestion, an idea for a possible roundtable at some point in the future, I am all ears.
I should have written this down. I have a list somewhere. Yes, promos, Amazon's ads versus Facebook. I also, if we could do one, and I hope this hasn't been beaten to the ground, on branding. There were like 2 different classes on branding through InkersCon, and there's Alessandra's 6 tips every indie author should know, where she touched on branding. And I would like to know how to apply branding to websites. As you can see, I'm with Weaver Publications LLC, and there are different types of branding as a publication, as an LLC versus as an author, because I do book covers, I do book formatting, I have 3D renders for designers, and then I have my books that I want to sell. So I have to do it so differently from both authors and other publishers, especially if I'm going to stand out. So if we could like do branding on different authors, on different genres, on websites, for author sites, for your publication site, things like that, that would be awesome.
Awesome. I will add that to the list. That is fantastic, because your branding for your website needs to you know, and it needs to match across your platform. So if your branding is specific on your website for a specific color set or design or whatever, I know it needs to match your social media as well as your newsletter, as well as all of these other things. I think that is an absolutely fantastic idea for a roundtable. I think honestly, it is something that we may need to do more than one.
Yes, and can we rope, I don't know which name he'll go by. I'll say Michael for now. You know of who I speak, you know his true identity. Could we maybe rope him into possibly discussing websites and how to build them? I did a one-on-one with him. He gave me feedback and it is phenomenal. And I have to read through my notes several times because I'm awful at this. I think this would be phenomenal for everyone. So how to build your own website, like if you're an author, as an author, coming from an author.
Yeah.
Because that is so different from other websites. And it's different than blogging. Please don't build it like a blog.
Yes. Yes. So yes, Bobby.
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
100% with that one.
Awesome. Okay. I will reach out to him and see what he says. Because I think that's a great way, a great tool to have in our disposal, in our arsenal, is making sure that our website is going to resonate with our readers. And you know, while we're talking with branding, not only with the website, building them, etc. We also, you know, what about with that? What about promotional material? Like, you know, what do you need for if you're going to a book signing? What do you need to have with you that is consistent? You know, those sorts of things. How do you brand your book covers? Because your book covers are not going to be branded the same as your website. So you really have to have a really good idea on that one. And I will reach out to a couple of people and see if I can get a guest to come in and speak. I know that we do have cover designers in the group. But I would love to get someone, you know, to get some outside input as well, so that we have, because I know I only do romance. I do not do other genres at all. I suck at them, and I know that I do. Carolyn is fantastic with her company. She's absolutely fantastic with fantasy and that. But if we're looking at, you know, looking at other genres, PNR and all those, I think it really does make a difference when you have someone who does those particular genres as their livelihood. So definitely, that's something that we can certainly go over. Anything else? Anything else?
Can we do a post and a thread on suggestions in a group so we can just, as they come to us? I'm a very selfish person and there's a lot I want to know.
Yes, we can totally do that.
Me too.
Start one. Carolyn, that is your job for the evening, is to start that post, that thread.
I'm sorry, what?
It's your idea. You get to start the thread.
Brat. I will send one of my characters into one of your stories and ruin it.
Okay, I'll send them back. Slightly damaged.
I don't know if you can damage an already damaged head assassin elf.
Oh, I could find a way, I'm sure. You have met some, you know what? I'm sure your elf has absolutely no. Send them over and I'll send Celeria over to talk to him or her. Alrighty.
Well, and now I
And
know
wait
never
until
to
y'all-
suggest that. To suggest something.
And wait until I start having dreams with you guys in them. Oh my gosh. We have some stories about that from critiques.
Oh, there's no camera, baby. Thank you.
Leanna let someone steal my dad's truck from my dream. It's her fault. She left it unlocked and left the keys in the ignition, basically saying, here you go, have at it. Watch out,
Yeah,
Bobby.
Oh dear.
yeah, yeah, she did. I mean, what can I say? Between the black truck, the banana bread, and the wet noodle, I think we're just.
And it
Yeah.
was Randy who stole it. She admitted to it. And then she puts it in one of her stories.
I know. I mean, who does that? Who does that? You stole the truck. Now you're gonna write.
After she drove it into like what? The sea to clean out the banana breadcrumbs Leanna and her husband left behind.
Uh-huh.
We
Yeah.
hope to get into many shenanigans with y'all.
Yes, yes, we really do. We really, really do. That is, yeah, we like to have fun. I'm sure that anyone who's listening from the outside in thinks that we are going crazy, but yes. Thank you so much, Stephanie. I appreciate you you coming. I appreciate your input. It was great to meet you, even if it is just digitally. Actually, you know what? No, the next one is next Wednesday. We're going to do yes, it'll be the same time every Wednesday. We are going to be doing these. The 1 in 3 weeks is going to be the critique one. The next one, we are going to actually go into depth and have a conversation on writing, publishing, the writing process for critiquing and publishing, and how to deal with those emotions and all of that lovely stuff that we have. So yes, same bat time, same bat channel. It'll be awesome. Oh, my husband loves me so much, he brought me coffee. You as well, Stephanie. Awesome. All right. I'm just floored. I think we have some really amazing topics to discuss. I think we have some really amazing stuff to explore and learn. I am so looking forward to learning from everybody. And I think it's just going to be fantastic. And you will learn very quickly that when Carolyn and I get together, yeah, we're kind of loopy. We like to have fun. So sorry, I've got Facebook. I have Facebook. No, I don't care anymore. Oh, I love that. I love the little sunglasses on the little happy face. Awesome. Okay, so I will create the folder. I will set it up and put it up in the group. There was this roundtable will again be going up onto the YouTube channel. It will be going up and then I will be posting the link into the group. You will not be able to search it. None of them are searchable unless it's a craft one where I'm literally sitting there talking about a specific aspect of the craft or something. And then those ones will be public because they're just a general topic. But for the most part, any roundtable that we do will not be live. It will be specifically unlisted and you will only be able to find the link through the group. Brina, if I'm hoping that we've got you, we can get you into the group and that sort of thing. If not, if there's something happens, if you want to just shoot me a DM with your, and then I can manually add you if BL has some issues adding you. I know she said that she already tried once. Then we can kind of pull you in and we'll go from there. But I think that's everything. If anyone has any further questions, comments, recipes for banana bread, then we are good to go. The video will be going up later on this evening, and then I will post the link into the Facebook group, and we will go from there. So thank you everyone for coming. Thank you so very much for joining me and listening to me ramble. And yeah, we will have some fun.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And it was so great to meet you guys. I think that went well. I'll go stop.